Hi and welcome to day 2 of National Diabetes Awareness Month. Today I'm going to do a pump change with the Omnipod 5, and I'm also going to talk about my past experience using different pumps and using MDI and just my 23 years of experience with diabetes, what I prefer, because it was different at different times in my life. And I feel like sometimes we're so adamantly like pump or MDI, and in my experience, and I think in a lot of people's experience, there's different things at different times in your life that you need. So that's what we're gonna talk about today. I am not gonna do like a full walkthrough of this site change, but I will describe some things. I'm sorry if I get any technical jargon incorrect. My pump expired a few hours ago, but what I love about the Omnipod 5 is that it actually lasts for 8 hours after it expires. So technically you have 80 hours with each pump with each pod instead of 72. First, I just click deactivate the pod that's on me currently, which is on my leg. So this is the pod coming off. That little blue thing, that's the cannula. That's what's inside of me for 3 days. And the adhesive around it, I personally don't have a lot of trouble with this adhesive, but if you do, there's like tons of ways to help with that. Let's talk pump and MDI. I have been on the Omnipod for 4 years now, and I've been on the Omnipod 5 for about 4 months. This is what the Omnipod, oh my gosh, this is what the Omnipod 5 kit looks like. It comes with your syringe here. This needle never goes into you. It's just how you put the insulin into the pod. And then you fill this up with insulin. It can be a little bit tricky. And if you look, you'll get tons of bubbles as you do this. I just kind of let them come and then I flick. So I go past what I actually need. I flick and then I slowly push it up until I get to the line that I need for 3 days of insulin. Then on here, you see where that arrow is? That's where I'm gonna put the needle into, push the insulin in. There you go. So that means that the pod is full, and then I just tell the pump or the controller to do the priming. So while that primes, I'm gonna talk a little bit about my past experience with insulin pumps. So I was diagnosed with 5. If you want to watch that story, you can head to yesterday. And I went on my first insulin pump when I was 7 years old. I went on the Cosmo, which is like a total Y2K throwback. They had colors and they were like that kind of clear, almost see-through, like you could see the inside of it. It was totally, like when I think of it, I'm like, that was the early 2000s. I loved that pump because it was like fun. I was on 2 different colors. I think one broke or something, or maybe there was an upgrade, I don't know. And I was on there from about age 7 to about age 12. And then I went on to an Animus pump. And the Animus pump it's discontinued. There was no looping technology or anything. This is back in like 2008, and I was on the Animus for a few years. But when I got to high school, my sophomore year in high school, so 10th grade, that's about 15 or 16 years old, I was totally done with pumps. And one of the reasons is that I thought that boys would never like me if I wore an insulin pump. And I was just scared that wearing a pump made me seem different. And it was kind of this constant reminder. In addition to the fact that I was playing sports at this time, and I played field hockey and lacrosse, and you wear these skirts, and then you have spandex under the skirts, and then I'd put my pump in the spandex, but it would always like slip down, and I'd be like in a field hockey game running, and I can like feel my pump slipping down. So I really just hated the fact that I had to carry that with me, and it was so difficult to like incorporate if I was wearing a dress, or, you know, I always had to have pockets, or it was like in my underwear. And I know they make things that can like help with it, but I, again, was not interested in having my pump being seen. I did not want to wear the giant clips. For me, it was a confidence thing. And so I went on MDI about halfway through high school, and I stayed on MDI for the rest of high school and then into my college years and slightly out of my college years. All right, my next site I'm going to put right here. This is the needle cap. It just clips off. And then these you remove for the adhesive. And then I have my site. And then once I tell it here that it is on my body, I'm gonna say, yes, it's securely in place, and then it's putting in the needle. If you listen, you'll hear it. And you can barely feel that going in, which is so nice. Now that I have my site on, I'll finish this story. So during that time in my life, from about age 14 to 24, I was on MDI, and that was the best place for me to be. And I look back now, or even when I have to do MDI for a few days if I miss a shipment or something, and I'm like, gosh, MDI is so much work. It takes more energy, in my opinion, to do well on MDI than it is to do on a pump, because you have less precision, and with a pump you can make changes to your basal and you can give smaller corrections. And for me now, those are the things I look for in terms of ease. But at that time in my life, easy felt like having the bare minimum to do. So with MDI, it was just simpler. It was give my long-lasting insulin, give insulin when I'm high and when I have something to eat. And I did not have blood sugars that I was proud of at that time in my life. And I'm thank my lucky stars every day that I do not have complications from that period in my life. But being on MDI was the right choice. And if I would have been on a pump, I think I would have had a lot more trouble, a lot more burnout, a lot more consequences. However, now being on a pump, it's the right choice because it feels easier, because I'm able to make those fine-tuning corrections. I'm able to feel confident in exercise and having more control over the background insulin that's in me at any moment. So that's why I love being on a pump now, because it suits my life better and it suits the energy that I'm willing to put into diabetes management more. And my confidence around diabetes is in such a different place than it was 10 years ago. And therefore, having a pod showing, having a Dexcom showing, it brings me joy. It doesn't bring me shame like it used to. And I can touch on the whole confidence thing. I will in another video because I think it's so important. When I started on my better health diabetes journey, getting a CGM and getting a pump was one of the first decisions that truly made a positive impact in what I was doing. It's not to say, and I'll talk about this in a second, it's not to say that you have to be on a pump for better diabetes control, but for me, that was kind of this enabler that allowed me to be more precise around my management. And just because you're on MDI, that's not like a lesser option than being on a pump. I know some people who choose to be on MDI because they truly have better control with it, and that's awesome. We are all different, and we have to understand that someone being on a pump isn't a determinant of they're a better diabetic, because there's no such thing. And also because there's so many other factors that go into it. I'm gonna leave it at that. And I hope that you join me again tomorrow, where I will be doing a Dexcom site change and talking about my experience with CGMs. Thanks guys, please be sure to like and subscribe. Thank you so much for tuning in, and happy Diabetes Awareness Month.